and so we hooked a buoy.
And I immediately noticed that the landscape looked a little different. The boat.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been stabbed in the back bed, I'll show you what happens. Pass me the mic and I'll show you with action. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show.
Alright everyone, so this video is a little impromptu to what we usually do. We weren't sure if we were going to even video or talk about this, but I feel like it's something good to share for other people cruising, and just kind of, and for the sake of being organic. That's one thing we always wanted to show on this channel, is being like real, and not show that it's always just us sitting on the beach enjoying life and it's all easy. So we were going to do this, and we decided we're actually going to go through it. And so I'm going to say before this too, we usually have a lot of great comments on this channel. One thing I'm going to say is I've been beating myself up over this for days, and so anyone sitting at home, you know, wants to make comments about what I should have done differently or whatever, I don't really care this time. Just save them, honestly. I've been racking my brain on how we could have done this differently. Of course, you can always do it different, but in the moment, I feel like we did everything we should have, and this was just a really unfortunate event. So with that, let's get into what happened. So in the last video we talked about, or at the end of the last video, we said we had to leave Susha abruptly. So I'm going to kind of set the stage so you know what happened. So we decided there's four bays, three major bays on Susha, and it's pretty exposed. I think when I looked up at the chart, it's about 7 miles in either direction, 7 to 10 miles in either direction from any landmass. So it tends to get pretty sporty out there. It's not a place you want to be in bad weather, really, but it has coverage. And
it's out in the middle of a very large strait that goes out to the big
so
water.
Those who aren't familiar, it's just north of the Strait of Juan-e-Fuca, kind of up between Vancouver Island and Washington, Canada. It can be a really volatile place, and growing up, that was kind of my playground. I've been up there multiple times. I don't take it for granted what the weather can do. It can turn fast, and you wouldn't believe the kind of sea state, if you're not familiar with the area, that can happen out there. So we were no by means naive to it, but the thing is, it offers 4 coves on each side, so you kind of can have protection from one other way. So we're in season change here. In the Pacific Northwest, the wind literally circles around and changes. I mean, it's pretty wild. Again, aware of it. So we decided to go to Susha. We got a good window. We go up there. From our videos, you see the first couple days were awesome. And then the wind started kicking up, and we were going to go to Echo, which is on the northeast side, and it's pretty unprotected. It's the biggest bay. And from being there prior, Steph actually didn't want to go to Echo, but we were getting pummeled by...
Because we anchored there with his parents when I was pregnant with Dean, our first, and in the middle of the night, because it's such a huge bay, even during the summer, they get these rocking waves that come in, and it was uncomfortable. And from somebody who hadn't been on boats a lot, I just didn't want to do that.
Yeah, and so it's not a very protected bay. So we were getting hit pretty good from the southeast, and it's got a big jet out, basically coming out east of the island that would block anything from the southeast. So we move over to Echo Bay. We get there. Might have been there for, I think it was the first day we were there actually, and we were kind of enjoying it. And then all of a sudden they updated it, everything, NOAA, all that's predict wind. They all update saying that everything's going to come from the north, and we're like, okay, you know, it's unprotected more from the north, but that's okay. Usually everything around here comes from the southish. It then said it was going to start coming, you know, northeast, and I was like, oh, that's a little unprotected, but it was only going to be 10 sustained, 16 gusting, which isn't anything for anyone who's been. It's really nothing, honestly. So I didn't think twice on it. So what I should say is we hooked a buoy coming in. We don't spend much time on buoys, but we have a buoy permit this year, so we've been kind of trying to use it more in some of these nice state parks. And so we hooked a buoy just so we can go on some hikes. We have it in the last video. We went on some hikes. I didn't want to worry about the anchor. I'm pretty intent on the anchor. We just bought that new Rockna anchor, which is awesome. So we decided to hook a buoy. And so I used 2 3/4 inch dock lines to moor. I go from each side, port starboard, and I go down and back to my cleats basically. So it's 2 lines basically, so it's wrapped and back. And I do that because we have a bowsprit and it kind of chastens, so it kind of helps stabilize us.
And we did that because of our experience at Blake Island, where we only
had
had
a small bit of chafing,
and
yeah.
we had some chafing.
But we'd only going to be there for a day on the hook, and we're going to move to shallow. So anyway, fast forward, just kind of setting the tone. It was supposed to be 10 to 16, 10 sustained, 16 gusts. Really not a big deal. We're doubled up. I literally didn't think anything of it. And so we crash, and we wake up at 2 in the morning, and we're just getting pummeled. I mean, sea state.
It's awful. It's worse than it was at Blake.
Yeah, and I think I say this because I see people all the time exaggerating wakes, just from being out in boats. Like, I feel like people always think it's bigger than it is. I mean, a good couple foot wave will do a lot of damage, right? And so we wake up at 2 in the morning, getting friggin' tossed. This boat's 20 tons, sling 20 tons, and it's getting shot up in the air. The bow's just getting launched, and at 2 in the morning, and at least 4 to 5 foot swells. I mean, it was big. And so I'll let Steph take it from here. But I woke up to this, and that's when she was pretty freaked out.
I was freaked out because not only was the wind howling, and you can always hear the way that it howls when it's really, really hitting us, but like in our room specifically, it just sounded, I don't know, I just had a bad feeling about it. It just didn't, the way the boat was moving, it freaked me out. And so I decided to get up, and at first I was just going to come up here to, like, for peace of mind, to come and look, and I just still didn't feel good about it. And so I told him that I was going to stay up here, and I was just going to be up for the rest of the night. I just didn't really even care because I was just that freaked out. And so I was up here for a while, and I was just watching the boat, and we would get these hard gusts. And the thing that's about this winter that's been really weird is that we have these sustained, which aren't bad, and then we have these gusts that come in a different direction and push the boat somewhere else. And they were pushing really hard and then pulling us back. And I was just watching the boat do that. And I got really cold, and I was just in like stretchy workout shorts. And so I'm like, I'm gonna go downstairs and get in my jeans real quick. So I went downstairs, I got dressed, and I look out the port, and I noticed actually that the dinghy had shifted, and it was going a different direction than what the waves and the wind had been doing. We always
hip tie our dinghy, so that's why it's weird. It's always going one way.
And so I came back up here, and I immediately noticed that the landscape looked a little different. The boat that was next to us.
One thing I got to jet in on is we like being in remote. Susha Island, for people not familiar, is that far from land. There's no power. It's a state park. I mean, it's like legit. There's a ranger station that's solar powered on there. And so we had a cloudy, overcast night, so it is dark. I mean,
really
you
dark.
can barely make out the landmass shadow in the sky. I mean, we're talking dark, pitch black dark. So sorry.
And so you could just barely see the silhouette of another boat that was a couple of buoys away from us before I noticed this. And then I noticed that the boat was like farther ahead of us, and I thought, that's weird. Are they leaving? Why would you leave like in this state right now?
Yeah.
And so then I just kept looking around, and I was like, the boat's turned too. That's really weird.
We probably should intercept with when everything was going on. She was stressed out, and I was like, I mean, what do we do? And I literally said, I mean, the buoys up there are nice. I mean, 1-inch chain. I mean, they're 1-inch chain links, beefy, galvanized, nice, smooth loop on them. I literally said to her, nothing we can do. I went back to bed, and I was like, nothing we can do. The buoy's not going to break. I literally said that, and I went back down. And anyone who sees me, I'm like super precautious when it comes to secure it. So, anyways, Karen, sorry.
So then I saw that the boat was faced towards the shore, and then I looked at the shore, and I'm like, it's getting closer. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no way. We didn't break off the buoy. There's no way that happened. And then I just keep looking at getting closer, and I'm like, oh my God, no, that is what happened. And I yell for Tony.
Yeah, and so and then I guess I'll jump in. So I hear her scream, and I'm like half awake because we're getting freaking tossed. I mean, I'm pretty good with rough seas, but we were getting freaking tossed, or even I couldn't sleep. I'm saying something. So yeah, I just hear her scream, and through life, and we've always had a just crazy life. I can tell her scream that is distress. Steph keeps her cool really well, but there's been a few times we have the distress, and that's the one. And so I just jumped up. I don't even think I had clothes on. I think it was my underwear. I ran up here, And I'll show you right now. So for what happened is we had blown both freaking lines. And so if you can see these things, these are 3/4 inch double braided West Marine lines, New England rope. Don't freaking recommend. We'll get into that later in the video. Yeah, so this is one. I had 2 of these, basically one on each side. They're not little ropes.
They both snapped.
I bought them as I thought they'd be more than adequate. We bought them before we left the dock. I legit said I don't want to use old ass rope or old ass line. Let's go. We just bought it. It's not freaking cheap stuff. I didn't buy the cheap stuff. I didn't buy the stuff that was the best deal, whatever. I bought good line. And before anyone jumps in, I know there's mooring freaking bridles and shit
or whatever.
Pendants, whatever. We don't buoy enough for that shit. I never ever would have thought this would blown, honestly. And this is, we kind of got the nice lines, the soft lines, all that stuff, we're trying to do it right. So anyway, so we blew both lines. I can't stress that enough. Looking up, they each have a breaking strength of 20,000 pounds. Okay, so just...
We had 2 of them.
We had 2 of them, so, right? So, whatever. And before the people jump in and be like, yeah, that's why I use a mooring pendant, blah, blah, whatever. I've never seen someone blow lines. So we were being shot. The bow was being just shot up in the freaking air, I will say that. But never would have thought those lines would have blown. They're for real, couldn't, like, 6 months old tops, honestly.
Yeah.
I think 4 months
barely
old,
used,
3, 4 months.
honestly.
Yeah, once we left the dock, we haven't been docking that much. So anyways, I had to paint that picture, okay? So, because we haven't really said what actually happened. So we blew both lines, didn't hear it, no noise. It just spun around the time she went down there. So I hear this distress. I run up my underwear, and I wish I was making this shit up. Oh, she yells. I just run up. I remember grabbing my pants and being like, "Fuck it, no time," and I ran up, and I will never get this out of my freaking head. Is as soon as she didn't even say we were
I didn't even say
time.
what had happened yet.
She just yelled my name.
He just said what and
I came flying up the ladder. Yeah, and just in time. And again, it's pitch black, so you can't really see shit. I felt the boat slam the beach, and this beach we'll put pictures at it. This is a rock island. I mean, the bays are gonna have jetting rocks that come up. I mean, this isn't a fucking nice sandy beach. That would be awesome. I'm not afraid of shallow depths. Everyone knows me knows that. This is a full keeled boat. The props up, hidden and protected. I'm not that scared of shallows in here. I grew up putting shit on shallows, and so that does not really scare me. But this is a rock freaking beach, and so we slammed it broadside. I didn't
even have time to tell him.
No,
it happened by the time we hit.
And I hit, and I felt it, and what I can describe as the worst feeling ever. I mean, it's a solid freaking hit, and we had these massive swells, and we're broadside on the beach. I mean, we're again on a island. We could get picked up, but we're on an island with no power and not. You always think about like, oh, what happens if we hit the beach? We don't think what happens after. So it's like even if we offload and we're safe, but
mind you, this is like 2:30 in the morning.
2:30 in the morning. It's safe, but we're in a windstorm on a remote island. Now the kids have to offload. So Steph asked, what do we do, right? And so I'm kind of like a pessimist, a realist. I look at I'm always expecting the other shoe to drop. And this is the one time I looked at her and said, I don't know. I don't know. And so I said, wake the kids. We're getting off the boat. And so
I wake up the kids, they get up, they ask what's going on.
They did great. They hopped right, they asked what was going on, but they hopped right up. And then at that time, while she grabs the kid, I'm trying to think of what to do.
I actually asked. I was like, should we try to start the engine?
Yeah, and the thing is this boat being as heavy as I didn't have any faith in that, right? And so, but we were still upright, and we'd hit. And as she's getting the kids going, I'm finally adjusting to just seeing, okay, there's beach, there's rock, and we pocketed in a spot where we're between 2 massive rock faces and a somewhat of a beach with the rocky chunks in there. And
by some miracle, we missed those 2 massive rocks. We landed in between.
Right,
them.
and we'll show a picture of what we're talking about. But so we're there, and think about firing up, but I mean the prop's not enough force to drag this thing off the beach. I've never heard of any. Usually when people hit the beach, they're on the beach, and so she gets the kids up. The kids are all up. The lights are on. Awesome. They hop up to them. They're ready to go. And I thought the boat was a total loss. I mean, wasn't really worried about her well-being, but was more worried like, this is our fucking everything. This is our boat. We love this boat. This is the boat we chose, and so Anyways, as I'm going through, like, just trying to figure out what the fuck, like, will this motor pull this off? I doubt it. We're broadside, all this shit. She gets the kids up. I feel the boat just slam again. I'm like, God damn it, dude. It just, you can fucking feel it just hitting rock. I mean, it wasn't a boop, a thud. It was a slam.
It's so loud down there, too, when it's hitting.
It came through the whole hull. And so I'm just like, I'm feeling it in my freaking bones. And then all of a sudden I had this thought that, like, we're lifting to slam like that. This swell, and again, it's a 4 or 5 foot swell. I'm not joking. We have quite a bit of freeboard on this boat, and this was some swell. And so it lifts the boat up. It lifted the boat up, slammed, and then I got this idea. I'm like, fuck. I mean, we're lifting. And so I fired the engine. I wait for oil pressure. Poor motor. We just got this thing running good. I fired the motor. All the kids are at the stairs. They're ready to, in the companionway, ready to jump out.
And he told me to go and grab the broken
lines.
Right,
that's right. I said check the lines, because at this point I didn't know if the lines came undone. I didn't think they would, but I didn't know if they're hanging. But they're long enough to get back to the prop. And so I'm like, check the lines, make sure they blew. They're not in the water. She runs up there.
So I pulled them out of the water.
She pulls them out of the water, gives me a thumbs up. I wait for the next slam. We got oil pressure. The next slam is all happening crazy fast. The next slam hits, and I just went like friggin' full reverse. I mean, I probably just cleaned a little bit of life off this engine, right? And it's an old Lehman, an old big dinosaur engine. I freaking throw it in reverse, and all I see is this cloud of fucking smoke, because I cold started this thing. Cloud of fucking smoke, and this thing
starts to pull away.
And this thing prop walks to the starboard side really bad. And these old boats, anyone who's out of, a lot of these old full keel boats do it. Other boats do it too, but a lot of full keels really do it bad. It prop walks to starboard, like you hit the throttle, I can spin this thing in a circle in a marina, like 100%, like a twin engine boat. And so I don't care if I send a piston in outer space, honestly. At this point, the motor gets fried. I thought the boat was a loss. And so I shove it full reverse, cloud of smoke pukes, and this thing, I swear to God, we're on the beach this way, just freaking whoop, spins around, ass to the swell, basically. And then it was like, well, fuck. Well, Steph goes down, checks for water in the bilge, make sure we're not taking on water.
Also, the reason that I knew where we landed too was when I was up there. For one, I could see the water, like how shallow it was, and then how blue it was actually. It's just very vivid in my mind. And then I could vividly see the 2 huge massive rocks on each side that we somehow missed, and we were pulling away.
So it'd just been enough to where we had the slope and we'd hit our keel and we were rocking up, but still enough buoyant. We have a pretty shallow draft keel. We're only 5.5 feet draft on this boat. For a boat this size, it's pretty shallow. And it's because it's a full keel with a ton of ballast in it, which has other characteristics, but that's beside the point. So it's a pretty shallow keel, so it kept us upright. We didn't have any tip factor, so I knew we were level. So anyways, we pull off, we get out, and now we're in this crazy sea state. We can't see anything. Now when we came into this anchorage, there's a mooring field of buoys, and then there was crab pots everywhere. Okay, so this isn't crab season. I'm not gonna get into it, but there's a certain people that run and throw their crab pots everywhere with
because they have no rules
and no respect for anybody. And so it's okay to throw in a crab line or whatever. They've scattered these throughout this anchorage. And so now I'm heading out into the pitch black. Also, you're not supposed to leave your pots overnight, but they just leave them, they soak them, and let them, they just pull them.
They literally have no rules. All the rules that apply to us do not apply to them.
Nope. And so we basically point out into the abyss, and you people might laugh, oh, bitch about crab pots. When you point out into the abyss, we've now survived.
It's pitch black. I was up there at the bow and trying to look for crab pots because that was my first thought too.
Right, and
I literally could only see like a couple feet in front of me.
We have badass LED spreader lights at like the deck, but not so much in front of us and stuff. So we push it out into the darkness. I know this is just the funny part. We got a mooring field. We got crab pots everywhere we dodge coming in. In the broad light, we were dodge coming in, and then I got a boat that was moored next to us, 2 buoys down, with no anchor light. Just decided it wasn't a something we need to do. Which again, I'm not freaking Johnny Law, but I'm just saying, dude, like this is the time to have that country. So I don't know where he is. I literally can't even see the silhouette of his boat, and we were 100 feet from him. We were close. We went right by him. But then in the corner, there's these lined mooring fields. They have mooring tie-ups, and they're buoys with lines. So it's kind of like a weird dock buoy hybrid. And they've got these little solar reflective lights, they're just blinking like a construction light, on a cone. It's not much, but it's the only freaking thing I could see. And so I'm pointing towards there. I know there wasn't crab pots over there when I came in, so I point towards there, and I get just past the mooring field, and we dump the hook. And I mean, we just freaking sent that thing out, and I paid out a whole crap load of freaking chain.
Almost all of it.
Almost all of it. I didn't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
We freaking drag it back, and you'll probably see this a little bit in the video. We drag it back right by the time we actually hooked, pull back, we're right freaking next to another buoy, which generally wouldn't be a big deal, but I don't want to get fouled up on a freaking buoy on one of the freaking blocks down in the buoy. So what I did is I freaking got in the damn dinghy, and this was kind of a secondary with all the we had going, just get an anchor slip, but also so I just didn't get freaking fouled on it. I got into the buoy and I ran a line, or got in the dinghy and ran a line, a secondary from that to the buoy. I'd rather have the buoy spin around the anchor chain than it actually get fouled on the actual hook side.
We hooked a chain that time.
And we used our secondary anchor chain. I ran over and did that, and that was pretty wild. The friggin' dinghy almost, I swear to God, almost came over the top. I don't think we got too much video of that, but and so we get there, we check, everything's good. I mean, the prop, no vibrations getting out, because I was just trying to save the damn boat. I didn't really care about a bent prop or anything like that. And so we come out, throw the hook, and we're like, fuck, we're here. Now it's like 4 in the morning, pitch black still, and it's like, well shit, you know, we got the hook down. That's not 100%, you know, that can drag, that can do stuff. And we're not far from land by the time I dumped out all that chain, but it gets deep too fast there. And so we were in 25 feet of water, I think, but it goes out and shelves off really freaking fast. So you can't, you're in a kind of a zone you have to be. You have to dodge the buoys, the guy, the pots, everything. And so we're just here. That's just where we have to be. And so we're probably a couple hundred feet off the shore still on the other side. And so we sit there through the night. We're like, hell, we're here. Basically made a drink and watched the sunset. And it was the longest freaking 2 hours ever, you know, after dealing with that. So that was it. So we grounded. Okay, so now we have some footage we're gonna add in here showing the damage, and there's some rub rashes, saying the least. I mean, we've got fiberglass.
We have a lot of fiberglass.
I got some work to do on the keel, and so, but we are so happy with this boat. For those that don't know,
considering what happened, it could have been a lot worse.
Right.
And the fiberglass work that we're going to have to do is not anything in comparison to what could have happened.
No, and so that gets to the next point. When we bought this boat, it has been, for anyone watching the videos, it has been project after project after project. But we did that knowing that this was going to be a boat in our price range. I mean, this is a true old school blue water boat. I mean, this is the only way that we could get into a boat like this, is if it was a fixer-upper. But Steph like almost got frustrated with me because of the stuff I had on my list to do for getting this boat. And it made it really hard to find one that wasn't a complete loss. And if they're put together and perfect with no issues, they're way out of our price range. And so we bought this boat on purpose for this kind of reason. And I only say that because this saved our butts in this boat. And so this is, and we'll attach a picture actually of the hull for those that haven't been following along. It's a full keel with a slope from the bow all the way to the rudder. The rudder is attached to the keel, totally covering and protecting the propeller. It's a wide keel. It's probably 8-9 inches wide at the bottom, and so it's got a lot there basically to land on. And so the reason is that I really like this boat, again, is the whole keel is at a steady slope, kind of like this. So if you ramp up something, you can ride the incline down. That's literally what I said when we bought this boat. We did not want to put that to the test, but that's what saved this freaking boat. And so it was amazing. You know, it's like we weren't going to tell this story. We're literally like, this is like crazy.
It was really scary. It was the scariest moment I have ever been in, and hands down. Yeah, and so we weren't sure we were gonna say it. Now that we're realizing this isn't gonna stop us, you know. I mean, like we're gonna have to explain why we're hauling the boat out. Yeah, and so with that we're gonna do a haul out here in a couple weeks. We're not gonna rush back. We're not taking on water. We may be almost in the ballast. I checked every hatch. I checked back where the rudder goes to everything. There's no leaking anywhere. With that, sorry, so it's a full keel, but it's a encapsulated keel, meaning the hull was built with the keel in it. And then what they do is they dump lead in, I don't know what's in this, so don't quote me, but lead and concrete generally, or all lead or whatever. They freaking put a bunch of counterweight in, 8,000 pounds of counterweight, and then they glass over it again. So basically meaning you got this keel, but it's not a separate keel that breaks away or removes. It's part of the damn boat. And so if you were to puncture it, it can get to the ballast, which is not something you want salt water sitting in the ballast, especially if it's iron, which it could be. But basically meaning even if the ballast, the keel fills, it's not going to get in the boat because it's fiberglass on top. So again, not something long-term for those that are like, yeah, that's bad. It is bad, but it's not long-term, and we're pretty far away from a viable haul out. So we're going to head back down to our home port. We have a couple haul outs nearby, but we're going to head down to our home port, so we got a place to stay because most of these yards around here, all of these yards won't let us stay on the boat. and hotels around here are
Oh my
insanely
God.
expensive. You'd think that
Yeah.
you're living in fucking Manhattan.
Yeah, we're not rich boaters, and we can't afford that. And so we're gonna go and haul out to our home port, stay with someone. I'm gonna decide who yet. Probably run around and ask who. But we're gonna stay with someone, and then we'll really show the damage. But we put the GoPro down to get some shots of it, and it's rough. There's like 5 or 6 spots there. I mean, we've got a little bit of pulled up glass. It sucks, man. It's not. That's something I can totally fix. The actual physical fix is not a big deal, but seeing your boat like that sucks. And so all
We
things
were
considered,
already planning on doing a haul out before we head to Mexico
Yeah,
in order to
so-
do bottom paint, but
yeah. So we're gonna
to
do.
find out that we basically have to re-glass probably a lot of the very bottom of the keel sucks.
Yeah, it means it's gonna suck. It's not the best place to work on. I mean, it means we're gonna strategically place the keel blocks when we set on the yard. It's not gonna be fun. So we have a lot of help and friends up there. So we're probably gonna try to do a yard party. Have a bunch of friends come up and help us. I'm gonna glass it, and then we're gonna smash it out and do a bottom job that we're gonna do before we head to Mexico this summer, anyways. So we'll just get that done and chalk it up. It's gonna be an expensive week, but we're gonna get that done. But we really want to do this before, and say, I mean, we set ourselves up decent. I'm not saying we couldn't have done anything better, but we really the buoy is like the whole chill. Don't gotta worry about the boat.
That was a couple of hours of that sea state that did that.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, and then before,
because when we went to bed, it was calm.
Yeah, it was calm, and those lines were good before because we had a chafe issue, but we're talking a minor chafe issue in Blake when we got just tossed to hell. It wasn't. We were going to move the next day to shallow. We actually almost moved that afternoon, ironically, but the sea state was already kind of friggin' screwy out there, and
he
it was
was
good
worried
in the
how
cove.
bad it was going to be outside.
Yeah, so it was coming in at the north, and we were sheltered from it. We hiked out there, and it looked like crap out there, and so we're like, yeah, let's just stay here instead of like pushing
leave in the
into
morning.
we'll leave in the morning. And so we get through this nightmare on the chain, so we picked up and we moved over to shallow, and we just got the hell out of there. We're now sitting here in this calmness here right before in Roach Harbor, which has been a great little tuck in, right before tomorrow's gale warning that's coming in. So we're almost out of season change, I think, here, where it's real volatile, and then we get into the bliss of
We're supposed to see
cruising.
30 knot winds tonight, and then all through tomorrow.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, potentially. Yeah. So gale can be anywhere up into the high 40s, and so we'll see. Hopefully, I don't think it'll get to that.
It's
but
pretty protected in here.
We're prepared for it. But yeah, so I mean, anyways, we're obviously open to questions. But I'm saying, if anyone wants to harp on me, I'm usually pretty easygoing, and it's hard to get my goat. But this is not one. Don't comment with your bullshit saying all the stuff you need to do. There's no way those lines should have blown on a mooring buoy. That cove's a mile deep, you know what I mean? Like, so I just don't. I'm not in the mood for it, honestly. I'm still processing all of it. I'm glad we scaved it did as well as we did, but with our full family, with everything we have into this boat and everything. It was a pretty suck experience. I've been pounding on the island since before I could walk. I mean, literally, we have pictures of the pack and play on the back of the boat. And so this isn't I'm the last person to take for granted what these waters can do, even being inland waters, how nasty they can get. I mean, we've been caught some serious shit, but never once. I mean, I've been in a boat dragging towards the rocks before. I've been in an unpowered boat floating towards the rock. I've been in a lot of situations, but this is the one that really sucks as a captain, is to actually beach your freaking boat. So we're definitely not fucking hooking a buoy anymore. We got we're set up for anchoring. I mean, we set ourselves up super good for anchoring. So with this gale coming in, we're on the hook. And so it just sucks because I just did it because we were going to be hiking. I was like, I don't got to worry about boats swinging around, whatever. I just leave it on a buoy. That was the only freaking reason for doing it. I don't usually do it. We've been kind of doing it the last couple months, and it's not been a bunch of weird experiences, and we're just done with it. So
yeah. The boat moves worse on the buoy too than
it does. It hops a lot more. This boat, the way it's weighted out, a lot of my weight's center, so the boat the bow and stern are pretty light. It's probably not the best on anchor on hook, but it's great in rough seas. But the bow does hop on this thing pretty decently, and I'm going to keep it that way because it's sea state. It's good. It keeps the bow out of the water, but.
Well, just like when we did leave Susha, it was pretty bad sea state, and we'll show some of that.
We'll show some of that too.
But the boat handled great. We felt safe.
Yeah, but since we were up in Susha, we were literally getting chased by winds. We got up there, we had a south wind in Fossil. It wasn't bad. Then we got hit with a southeast, and then a southwest, and a southeast. And we were there for a week, not even a week, almost a week. It was like six days. Oh, it was a week. Okay, we were in there full week, And so yeah, it was south, southeast, southwest, and then it was northeast, and then we moved to shallow, it was northwest. It literally circling us in 7 days. And we're not talking little breezes.
We
we're
kept
talking
switching
gusts.
bays, and we kept getting hit by the wind.
Yeah, so it's just a really volatile time. I figured we'd be okay with 4 bays. We could hop around and hide from shit, and that's what we tried to do. But then when everyone forecasts one thing and it turns into another, like I said, they forecasted the north last minute. I mean, it was like the day of. We were already there. They forecast north. Like, it's coming from the north now. It's like, no shit. It was hitting us from the north, but we were protected. So it just kind of shifted, and the opening in that is northeast. So I mean, even if it came from the east, we would have been protected somewhat. North, we were protected. It's northeast is where it gets you, and it came in right there. It just picked up the way the sea state was. The winds weren't the problem though. Oh, I don't know if we said that. Yeah, so the winds were.
They were like 30.
I think they were like 30, which it shouldn't have been as bad as it was. They shouldn't have produced, but because
sustained was not too bad. The problem was, I think, is those gusts of 30 were hitting from a different direction.
Yeah, well, it didn't help. But also, I think it was worse out in the bigger water, and it was bringing those waves in. They had nothing to break them down.
Building up, and they were
for miles. They're probably building up, and the way they were crashing. I mean, it was like surf hitting the dam.
Well, we even saw that in shallow because we didn't realize how bad the sea state was. It was very deceiving when you looked out at the ocean when we were in shallow bay, because we were getting these steady rollers, and they were just hitting broadside the whole time, and that's why we left, because it was so uncomfortable. But then we got out there and saw what the sea state was like. I was like, okay, well, it was protected.
Yeah, no, it is protected somewhat. It is worse out there for sure, but the way it kicked up wasn't at all in anyone's forecast. There wasn't even a small craft when we got smashed with that. That's the part that pisses me off.
The small craft wasn't even put into effect until we were almost at Roach Harbor.
Yeah, no, we started leaving, and then they were like, oh, there's a small craft advisory. Well, no shit, we're here, you know. And so this boat does well in a small. I mean, honestly, that's not a big deal for a boat this size, you know. But we weren't ready for it. So it's just, that's what it is, you know. You can only trust your electronics so much, you know, and that's what it is. But it just sucks. So yeah, that story. We didn't think we were gonna say anything. I wasn't super excited to do this video, and so, but it is what it is. That's the biggest thing with this channel. We're not here to do foo-foos and make this shit like.
This has been a rough couple of months starting out, and
we knew we were going to run before we walk. I'm a big believer in, you know, get through the hard shit. And
I didn't personally think that we would go through as much as we have gone through already.
I didn't think we were going to beach the freaking boat, but I figured we were going to have some rough
actually was more prepared for crap happening out in the ocean than I was for us beaching our boat. I just didn't see that happening.
That's fair. No, I figured we'd have some of this stuff out here. February is a real windy shit time to be out.
And this winter specifically has been horrible.
Right, and it has been a really specific, like the last couple storms we get, and there's been a cyclone out on the west coast we saw that was wreaking havoc. I mean, the weather across the whole states is just screwed.
We've been avoiding
right
windstorms this entire time we've been out here.
But yeah, we knew it was gonna be rough. It was kind of like, well, let's do this, and then go, like, this will be a good start, and then we'll get into easy cruising. We don't want to start with easy cruising, get used to that, and then get hit with crap. So that's why we wanted to do it. But we're getting a lot more than we planned, maybe not more than we bargained for, but I did ask her afterwards if this is like something you still want to do.
I will not lie, in the moment I was like, what are we doing? Like, can we do this? I don't know if I want to do this, but it was literally like a second of
it probably
that
wasn't
feeling.
the right time to ask.
Well, no, but then I had already had time to think about it, and like, no, I'm not going to quit now. Right,
and no, I don't think this will stop us down. I mean, I guess for us, like, you expect crappy sea state when you're hunkered down in the waves, but man, like, that's trying to explain it, like, that's for me is like a sailor's worst nightmare. It's land, you know. It's not the hurricane that usually takes the boat down, the waves that take the boats down. It's when it hits land, bottom, whatever, breaks it apart. You know, I mean, boats like these are pretty resilient, you know. So yeah, that's our story. I mean, I don't know if I'd believe it if I freaking heard it myself, but yeah, we beached and we drove the freaking boat right off of the beach, honestly.
We have small footage of the sea state and a little bit of, you know, you out in the dinghy doing stuff, but in the moment,
we'll show
it wasn't our first thought to pick
oh
up
Christ,
the camera.
yeah, exactly. Like, there's no way. We don't have footage.
We were worried about our children and their well-being.
Yeah, 3 kids, 2 dogs, the whole boat offloading into a storm itself. Like,
camera was a last thought.
I wish we would have, because I don't think I told her too. The one thing at first, I'm like, God, I'm glad no one was watching. But after all, I'm like, fuck, I wish someone was watching. I mean, how crazy would it be to see this boat smash the beach
and
then just fucking pull off, you know? Like, that was the craziest thing. So anyways, hauling this boat out, spending way too much money. And yeah, so if you're interested and you really want to see some better pictures than just underwater, follow
We'll
along.
show you how bad it is.
And it's gonna be, it's bad, it's not good. I mean, honestly, like, I'd say I worked on a boatyard and I've literally seen boats come in sinking with chunks out of them. So I mean, my threshold for bad is pretty high, and it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good at all. So anyways, yeah, you guys know the drill. If you like the video, comment below, like, subscribe, follow us along. But we're gonna be, Valhalla's coming out for a little bit, and then we're back at it. So
Yep.
this won't stop us.
Hopefully the wind will stop by then.
If not, we'll be out here. So we got nowhere else to go. Not till Mexico.
Okay, I shouldn't say the wind, just these insane storms.
Yeah, Washington sucks.
Yeah.
All right, bye.